Thank you, Mr. Announcer. Trish and I have arguably the best jobs in the world, something that probably everybody in this room wants to do. We get gear sent to us to test and to talk about. I mean, it's so exciting when the UPS truck rolls up to our house, the FedEx truck rolls up to the house, we see this long box. It's like Christmas in every single month as far as the opportunities that we have. Trish?
And on top of being able to ski all this gear and talk about this gear and share inspirations about it, we're also able to work with manufacturers to give them insider tips on things that they might want to work on in their R&D. Yeah. And we've had some influence in the ski industry because of that.
There's probably a good 2 to 3 dozen products that are out in the market now that we've actually had direct influence in, as far as the design development, might be color waves, and as far as where that product is directed. But in this show here, we're going to actually talk about some of the new exciting stuff that's coming up for this season. Now, you see the way I'm dressed? This is not 1984.
Ooh,
I just did not just come through Bennington, Vermont, going past the CB outlet. CB is back. And as you can see, it's traditional wear. It's really exciting. The stuff is fantastic. It's timeless. And that's one of the things we like about CB. Trish has on the puffy vest.
It's really comfy, super warm, almost too warm.
Yes.
in here.
So,
but the great thing is that CB's back with that old classic style, some of the styles that we've missed a little bit, but it's better than ever. It's more waterproof than it used to be. It's definitely a current rendition of what CB was.
Yep. Yeah, it's not just an homage to the old brand, it is the old stylings. And we heard rumors today that actually CB Vaughn is back with the company. He's going to be working directly with them in some of these new designs. So that's something that we're really excited about. And as far as working with CB, you're going to see a lot of our test teams on our site. If you go to our web page here, there we go. As far as you have options here to check out as far as our reviews, go to our discussion forums. We've got weekly giveaways. And speaking of giveaways, over at our booth and also at Peak Skis, you get a chance to possibly win some of Bodie Miller's new skis. Now, Bodie obviously is New Hampshire raised, so there is definitely some local DNA in these skis. So between him and Chris Davenport, another New Hampshire native, they are working and developing some of the best skis on the market. And we've had a chance to ski some of these skis. Trish, why don't you talk a little about the 88?
Well, the 88 is arguably one of the most competitive categories on the women's side of the wall. It started long ago with the Black Pearl 88, yep, which has expanded through the years and has changed construction through the years. This is probably one of the more competitive skis. One of the nice things about it with the keyhole technology is it gives you that little bit more nimbleness to get into the turn, and it's a little bit more responsive, a little bit poppier out of the turn, I feel.
Now, this is a nice range of a ski. The 88 goes down into the mid-160s for those stronger women skis. And as their collection gets bigger, we'll get into a 98 where there's two versions of the 98. We've got the regular all-mountain. They do have a backcountry version, which is a little bit lighter. The 2104 is a regular and a backcountry version, definitely a little more off-piste oriented, and also a bigger powder 110. But Bodie Miller has done a really good job with this new collection, and this is just a start for them. They are looking at being a full-line company, so there's a lot of cool stuff coming down the road from Peak Skis. We've had some time to spend with them out in Montana, and if you get a chance to get out the Big Sky and flying into Bozeman, I highly recommend you stop at their headquarters. There's some great skis there, and take a look at them. And like Trish says, with their keyhole technology, which really allows that ski to modulate really nicely into a turn. So this is a ski that we're really excited about.
Have you guys noticed how much Phil moves around on stage? Can you be still for a second?
Well, there's only really one option, and that only one person really stiller than me, and that's Ben Stiller.
Well.
Now, Bodie, again, while we're on the subject of Bodie, he's been working with Scarpa, and this is the new Scarpa Quattro boot. This is the only backcountry boot that really doesn't know it's a full backcountry boot, in that this will work in the majority of your new bindings that are only grip walk compatible, that this is a grip walk sole. It does not require a full AT binding. So this boot here is extremely versatile, inbound and also out of bound boot that skis very well. So if somebody is thinking about dabbling a little bit in the backcountry, they don't want to get full backcountry setups, and they've got their regular front side skis, this will work with your grip walk compatible bindings. So if you're thinking about getting into a range like this is definitely a boot to consider.
You know, and for anybody who has questions about anything we're talking about, when we run through this at the end, you'll have a chance to ask us some questions.
Yep. So, and also you can find that information on SkiTalk.com.
This is another favorite of mine. Nordica came out with an HF boot a couple years ago, and I'll tell you a little anecdotal story. My little sister hadn't skied in a lot of years, and she decided to take it up again because her 8-year-old son wanted to get into the ski school program, and she tried on her old boots, and she gained weight, things weren't right, and she just couldn't get comfortable in her boot. Her calves have gotten bigger, and I told her to go to her nearest ski boot shop, because she doesn't live in the same state as I do, and try on the HF boot. She tried this boot on, and it gave her skiing back. So she's able to get out there on the snow with her kid and have a ton of fun. If you're somebody who's entry level into the sport, if you're somebody who's been skiing for a really long time, but now you're having a hard time getting your boots on, you're having a hard time bending over, or maybe your calves have just gotten bigger over the years, this is a great option. This rear entry boot is just a stellar option for that person, and I'll let Phil expand on it a little more.
Yeah, this is not your Uncle Carl's rear entry boot, guy that's got his stuff at Herman's, and that ski boot exploded 10 years later out on the hill. Got newer plastic on it, and this boot really does ski very well. It's got some of Nordica's best technology. It's got their cork liner in it, so it's really contoured inside the boot. And actually, I was even talking to any instructors here. I was talking to Mike Rogan, who is PSIA's top demos team member. Mike works with Nordica, a little biased in this feeling on the boot. But this is a boot that he believes that a good amount of people should be skiing this boot, because the darn thing skis really well. So if you, like Trish says, if you got a problem getting in and out of the boot, this boot here it's going to add years to your skiing. There's a couple of versions. There's a women's 85, the men's the 110, and there's also the Elite, which is a heated boot. And they did a really good job with their heating system. It is Bluetooth. It works great with your phones. So, next up on the boot side, we've got the Fischer One and Two.
How many people have children out there?
Little ones.
Little ones. How big is your kid? 5. You're the target audience right here.
Yes. Kids are so difficult to get in and out of boots. They're not comfortable, not easy. You're fumbling with the buckles. This boot here with the zipper front, it's got a hard, semi-hard frame inside. Makes it really easy to get in and out of the boot. It's got the Velcro here on the front to snug them up. So this boot here is a great option. It's got grip walk soles, junior grip walk. So if they're out playing in the snow, eating that snowbank when they're not skiing, whatever they want to do, this is so much easier to get on and off your kids.
How do the sizes work for this?
Sizing on this here, it goes up to, I believe, a 20.
And they have 2 versions of
Yep, the small, basically the small and large is from a 15 to about a 17 or so is the small frame, and then it goes up to a 20 for the little bigger little kids. So again, this is a great option of a boot for parents that are just fumbling with their kids, trying to get them in and out of the boots, and it's just really easy in that capacity.
That saves a lot of tears.
Yep.
Who's experienced tears with their children on the snow?
Yeah.
Getting them dressed is the worst.
So this is definitely a great consideration for you. Now let's talk about some more skis, Trish.
Okay, I think I'm going to pick, let's go behind door number 4.
Yeah, this is the new Fischer Ranger 96. Ranger series is Fischer's bigger mountain skis. It's available anywhere from a 90 millimeter wide version up to, I believe, a 110-ish, 108, 110. The 90 and the 96 are the two reference models. 96, a lot of the women are skiing. This is for somebody on the East Coast that may be skiing Killington. They're going off into the trees, or if you're going up to Mad River Glen. Again, I still sport my Mad River Glen belt here, and even though I do live in the West now, again, I've got a lot of memories there. But this ski here is a tremendously versatile ski. They did a beautiful job with the rise and the tip in the ski. Really nice shape in this forebody. So it initiates a turn really nicely. Contact points back a little bit, so if you're skiing neutral or upright, the ski's going to be easy. But once you start pushing it, it's going to be really nice. And the other thing I really like about Fischer, and I suggest you go over to the booth, take a really close look at their skis. Take a look at the base finish on these skis. I mean, it's got a beautiful margin grind in the ski, something that if you walked into a shop and you wanted to get your skis prepped, this is probably an extra $75 or $100 on top of your regular base grind. It's something to really consider to take a look at with these skis, and that's right out of the box. And they did, again, a beautiful, beautiful job with this new collection of Rangers, adding to a tremendous amount of versatility. And again, you can go with SkiTalk to see the full reviews on these skis as we plug our site again.
Next up, Stokely.
Stokely, ja. The Montero AX. And again, this is a new ski for Stokely for this year. They've always had the Laser series of skis, which were their hard snow bias skis. They had their Storm Rider collection, and there was a little bit room inside. And the Laser series in the wider versions was the Laser AX that I have here, and also the AR. This one comes in about 80 millimeters or so underfoot. This is a really nice front side bias ski for the East, for the West, wherever you want to ski it, if you're looking for that premium level ski. Now, in going to the Montero series, is with that separation, this really wasn't a race ski when it was the Laser, making it a little bit wider, made it just a little more versatile, and they really wanted to separate a little bit. And that's when they created this new collection, the Montero. So, and that's what they did a beautiful job with this, and the two different versions. And the reason this one here is the green, it makes Stokely a lot of money. They sell a lot of these skis. And I think George Cooperthwaite, who is the GM, has built a extension on his house and maybe a pool because of this ski. The sales of the ski are super, and quite frankly, it's well deserved. This ski here has one of the biggest sweet spots. If you're a good solid intermediate that's growing, you can get on this ski. It's going to hold your hand and get better. And if you're an expert, this ski is going to do everything you want it to do, but if you want to relax on it, it's not going to demand your attention the whole time. A huge sweet spot where some high-level skis have a sweet spot this big. This one here goes tip to tail. And it's just a great ski that you can relax on.
So you can't have a hot gear of the year without talking about hot boots.
Yep.
So this is not new technology, but it's something that needs to be reiterated. If you have a chance to show up at the mountain with boots that are warm and easy and comfy and ready to put on, this is the bag for you. This is the Kolkia Thermal Trekker. Who here has experienced a heated boot bag? Only 2 of you?
Open market.
Oh, open market. So, we have testimonials right here. It has a huge compartment inside, so you can put your helmet inside if you like. There's also a helmet hammock that you can unzip on the outside. You have a great place to put your goggles in here with a protected goggle pouch. And best of all is you have the cords so you can plug it in your house and keep your boots warm, or you can plug it in your car. So when you plug it in your car, it keeps your boots warm all the way to the hill. And in each pocket, which unzips all the way so you have plenty of space to put your boots in, one on each side, these thermal pads keep your boots nice and toasty. And again, this is not a new concept, but it is something that needs to be revisited, because if you have a chance to have warm feet, then you're going to have fun. Marcia?
It's also great for, at the end of the day, it actually kind of dries your boots.
Yes. Yeah, it definitely helps your boots to remain dry, comfy, cozy. And because there's a thermal pad on the interior of the boot side, it also keeps the middle compartment warm, so you have warm gloves to put on.
And if you head over to the Kia booth, there's a bag of mine that's over there, has 450 days of abuse in that bag. Looks no different than this one. So the quality of their products is really exceptional. I mean, you take that bag, I just throw it over the shoulder. I've used it to and from the area on single days, and also airline travel, which it's a little tough for airline travel. It's a pretty big bag. But the durability of Kia's products are just exceptional. And I highly recommend you take a look at that. So we've covered a couple of different segments of skis. We've got some medium wide skis. We've got some front side skis. We talked about some boots and some different concepts there. I mean, there's some tremendous information out there as far as the types of skis that you might want. And we're a firm believer in our reviews. There are no bad skis, but there's a lot of wrong skis. And what we really profess on our site in our reviews is to help you avoid those wrong skis. So it really depends on what you're looking for in a ski. And as far as check out our reviews, and we can very well help you out there. So
don't forget the binding.
Oh yeah, how can we forget?
We've had the hottest piece of gear.
Yes, one of the hottest this year is Tyrolia's new protector binding. This is the only bilateral release heel binding on the market. What does that mean? What does a bilateral release mean? It means that the heel releases directly sideways out of the back. So in a rearward twisting fall, where your weight is back, that binding doesn't know, that heel can actually release sideways out of it. This helps mitigate knee injuries. One of the most dangerous, probably the most prominent injuries in skiing right now is that MCL, ACL injury. And this binding, Tyrolia claims, can reduce that injury up to 70%. So this is a great option of a binding if you're considering getting something that's a little bit safer. If you're concerned about your knees, this is a tremendous way to get a binding. And if you're currently using a Tyrolia system binding, a PRD binding, and maybe on your head Super Shave or a Fischer Curve GT where you've got a Tyrolia binding, this binding is backwards compatible. It will work on previous generation of rails. So you don't need to get a new ski to get this binding. Now, Trish and I, we skied this binding a tremendous amount last year. Trish, what's your interpretations?
So it was maybe a slight bit interesting to when I stepped into it. I felt like the stack height was going to feel high. It really didn't. It skied like any other system binding, and I just felt a level of confidence in it.
Yeah. So stack height of the binding is the same as any other Tyrolia binding. One of the things I noticed is you've got your traditional ISO toe setting, you got your regular heel setting, and then also you do have your lateral heel setting too. And that is supposed to correlate with your regular setting. Now with this binding here, I run my bindings at about an 8 or so. I set the heel only at a 4 because I wanted to see if there was going to be a difference in a feel in that binding coming out. And skiing some bumps when I skied this out at Loveland last year in our early testing, no problem at all. And having about 7 millimeters of lateral elasticity in your heel, in the heel here for absorption, again, helps mitigate the chance of knee injury. It creates some absorption. So not all of that energy from the ski is transmitted up through your body. So if you are in the market for a new binding, this is something I would definitely suggest that you consider in your bindings. Now, the PR13 here, the regular version here, is regular DIN compatible. It is grip walk compatible, which is our new articulated sole that we were talking about here. And if you need something that is a multi-norm compatible binding, if you're using an AT boot that has that real knobby, grippy sole, they do offer this heel piece with the attack binding, the attack lateral spring toe. So you do have some options there. They cover the full gamut of design with this binding. And again, it's something to consider. You're going to find any of these products that we have in your stores, and as far as with Peak, they're direct to consumer, so you can go over, visit their site, their booth over here, talk to them a little bit to get some more information on their skis. They've got a great return policy as far as if you get on a ski and it doesn't wow you, they'll be glad to give you your money back. So you've got some great options here. And as far as through this here, you got the premium with the Stokely. You've got the Fischer over there, a great all-mountain ski. And in the end, skiing is fun. So does anybody have any questions? Maybe gear that you might be considering? How does one ski compare to another? And what your thoughts are? Okay. Absolutely. Ski is built in a sandwich construction. You've got a layer in the metal, you've got a wood core, you've got a layer of metal on the top. Okay, and glue everything together, and then the ski is going to react as you bend that ski. What keyhole technology does, it cuts a little bit of metal out here in front of the binding, and on each series of ski, whether it be the 88, 98, 104, it's in a slight different position because those skis react a little bit differently on snow. So what the keyhole technology does, it actually allows that ski to twist a little torsionally in front of the toe piece. So when you've got that ski up on edge, it's a little more gradual into the turn before it reacts. So it gives you the flexibility to make that ski just a little less nervous in some conditions. And when you get into a three-dimensional snow, it allows that ski just to work through that snow a little bit differently and just a little bit easier. This is something that Bodie actually started doing back when he was racing with Rossignol. And for our old-timers here, if you remember the Rossignol 4SK, 7SK that had that Boss plate on the front of the binding, in front of the binding, he basically just took that plate off because behind that plate was a cutout of metal, and he found that ski just reacted a little bit better without that basically tampering the flex of the ski up there.
Any other questions?
Okay.
I don't want to get you too off topic, but I'm noticing every slide you've got carb listed at the bottom. You're not talking about that today. It's not a new product.
That's just an ad that comes up.
That's a Google ad.
Yep. But do you have a question on carb? Okay.
Because we've tested it. We've tested carb.
Yeah, we have tested carb. I played with it last year. It's a very interesting concept. And what carb is a pressure-sensitive pad that goes between your custom footbed and the line of your boot. So as you pressure through that turn, it senses the pressure on your foot. And as far as kind of a bit of a yaw feeling as far as laterally fore and aft. So it gives you a numerical rating on how you're pressuring that ski and how it's coming through the turn, and it gives you back a numerical feedback, which I believe 160 is the top score. So if you're scoring anything around 150 or above, you're skiing pretty darn well. Excuse me?
What was your score?
148. Yeah, absolutely. There's always room for improvement.
Bodie told him he needs to get his edge angles up a little higher.
Yep.
Yeah. Any other questions?
What do you think about, I know a lot of folks are buying their boots now.
Yes.
I'm guessing you probably strongly recommend people do it.
Yes, we do not recommend buying boots online unless you're buying the same boot that you might currently have and you just want an extra pair. You do not fit your foot to the boot. You fit the boot to the foot. And that's very difficult to do online. So you need to find somebody, a competent boot fitter, that is going to match that boot to your foot. Again, right now we've got probably the best fitting boots that we've ever had as far as options, but there's also a lot of different options. So getting that boot that's going to work best for you, get a proper footbed, and maybe get your alignment assessed as far as if you're canting, so you can set yourself up for success. But to buy a boot online is probably the one thing that we universally do not recommend.
Anybody else have questions?
Thank you for that information.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff there. So make sure you go on their site. They have a lot of videos.
Yep.
What's that site again?
SkiTalk.com.
SkiTalk.com. There
Yep.
you go.
Check us out there. If you come over to our booth, we've got a contest running. Check out our YouTube channel. Click and subscribe.
Hit that bell.
And
Yes.
don't buy your boots online.
Yes.
And don't buy your boots.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. I try not to ramble.
Hey, it's Dan Egan with SkiTalk. Remember, skiing is fun, addictive, and get out there and do it